Please welcome to the stage Anjali Sud, Chief Executive Officer at Tubi, and Tim Sims, Chief Commercial Officer at the Trade Desk.
Rebecca literally just told us walk in front of the signs, and I walked behind the sign. I'm sorry. Hi, everybody. So this is the closer. I am so honored to be joined on stage here with Anjali, my friend, from Tubi. And we have a lot of exciting things to talk about, so I'm going to jump right in. So first of all, I'm going to do a little bragging about Tubi. So it's been an exciting time since you took over as CEO 2 years ago, which is hard to believe. So incredible growth. And here's some just quick stats to level set everybody in the room on Tubi. So Tubi has over 97 million monthly active users, 10 billion streaming hours last year, and the world's largest streaming content collection. So Anjali, with that as the intro, what steps have you been taking since becoming CEO to make Tubi this behemoth in the streaming space?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging out right before cocktails. So actually, I'm really curious. If I just ask the audience, like, how many of you know Tubi? So that's most.
That's good. Yeah.
How many of you actually understand what Tubi is and feel like you understand the value we offer? Much less. So I still have work to do.
Yeah.
No, listen.
I can say the stats again if you want.
So I joined Tubi as CEO 2 years ago because I was really excited about where I thought free ad-supported television could go. And, Tubi started as a B2B ad tech company 10 years ago in Silicon Valley. For over a decade, it has stuck to one thing and one thing only, which is an incredible free experience for consumers, putting viewers first, giving them a huge amount of choice and personalization of the content that they want, listening to fandoms and giving them more of that, and then really trying to build a great ad product and experience. And because of Tubi's roots, it's sort of, we don't think of ads as a bug. It's a feature. And the company spent over a decade trying to really think about how to make ad-supported viewing delightful. And I think what we're finding is that consumers, particularly the younger generations, they don't mind watching ads. And they understand the value exchange. And it's very natural to them if done well. And so, when I think about Tubi's momentum, some of it, I think, has been focus and commitment and conviction, and saying, as things move, and we live in an industry where there's a lot of change and a lot of these competitors are doing this and these competitors are doing that, and I think Tubi has really kept viewers first and committed to this idea of premium entertainment without the premium price tag, and that ultimately, who doesn't want that if you're an audience? Yeah. And so what we've seen is that in the last couple years, in particular, we're just seeing many more people be gravitating to our offering. It is different than others in the market. So you hear a lot about the term fast. And for the most part, that means live linear channels. It's episode guide. Tubi's actually not that at all. 95% of our viewing is on demand. It is premium movies and TV series that you can watch for free. So we look more like a free Netflix than anything else in the market. And I think that, we just keep investing. Our content catalog is growing. We have hundreds of originals now. And we do things a little differently. Yeah. I'll give you all an example. An original you can see on Tubi, it's a young adult romance based on a Wattpad novel that had 30 million followers that stars Noah Beck, who's a TikTok influencer. And we didn't spend millions of dollars to market that, but tens of thousands of fans created UGC clips and shared it on TikTok and drove hundreds of millions of impressions. And it is a title that is one of the top performing in our catalog. So I think it's sort of it's just very much like skating to where the puck is going, and really pushing towards where we think the future of entertainment is, with a model that's different than others.
Yeah, you touched on this a little bit, but you and I have spoken about this before, and I've commented directly to you about this, in that since you've taken over, I think you've done an incredible job with just the brand of Tubi, like literally how Tubi shows up in the market, like the actual like physical look and feel of the brand, because that's obviously part of your responsibility as CEO. So where do you think of Tubi, and you touched on this a little bit already, just compared to some of the other premium streamers? Because I imagine when you got there, you had to really evaluate the landscape and then figure how do we want to show up?
I mean, certainly one of the things in my first few months is we did rebrand entirely. And part of that was to reflect better the premium nature of our offering. And we've also done a lot of work to more explicitly program for Gen Z audiences, for female-forward audiences, for audiences that are hard to reach for advertisers, that are incremental, that you can't find on broadcast and you can't find, at some of these more premium paid subscription services. So we've done quite a lot there. And I think we've tried to get louder and noisier in the market. And, clearly we still have work to do there. But it is true, we have made real strides. I think the next frontier for us, we will keep doing that. You will see Tubi. We are growing. We are investing. We are going to keep trying things and trying to be bold. But I think the next frontier for us is actually very much more strategically partnering with advertisers and brands to try new things that work for them. I'm actually a former marketer. I was a marketer before I became CEO. And I can say very, honestly, I don't think as an industry we have figured this out for marketers. I don't think we've made it easy enough to really understand in a reliable, trustworthy, and transparent way who you're reaching and whether you're getting an ROI, and whether it's the right allocation of your spend and your capital. So I do think there's opportunities, particularly with the generation, the way that they consume content, the way that they buy online, the way that they interact, their very short attention spans, all those things that will require innovation. And that's where I think you're going to see us. We're going to look to do things. We did it with the Super Bowl. We've had a couple brand partners recently where we've really been sort of you tell us what is your problem. Let's creatively brainstorm. Let's do stuff together in sort of pursuit of excellent results. Yep. And I think that's where hopefully we'll be much more well known.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Super Bowl. So let's talk about that from a couple of weeks ago. So the Super Bowl was streamed on an ad-supported free streamer, in parallel, of course, with being streamed on Fox. You reported how many millions?
We had 15 million concurrent peak viewers.
Incredible. That's, first of all, just an incredible milestone for streaming. I think many records were set on this Super Bowl a few weeks ago. I talked to you that week, actually, leading up to the Super Bowl. What went into the process to prepare for this? I know it was a lot because you seemed very stressed that week.
You saw me hours before, and I was you're like, how's it going? I'm like, I'll ask me in a couple hours.
But talk about that process, right? Because it went so well, and it was so seamless, and the entire process, just made it feel to the consumer as if oh, this is just another Sunday. But obviously it was not. Talk a little bit about the process that you and the Fox team went through on this.
So, Tubi streaming the Super Bowl was a big deal for the industry and for free ad-supported streaming, and we were able to deliver the most streamed Super Bowl ever. We were also able to deliver a better quality of experience for Americans, even though it was free. So 4K. I think less than half the lag time, so lowest latency. And to your point, one of the things that has been in Tubi's DNA that we're really good at is that user experience. So we both care a lot and think about it a lot. We have good insights around where there's friction that will turn people away, that we understand when people have a value exchange that they're okay with, and we understand where they do not. And so I would say a lot of work went into the preparation on the technical side. As you can imagine, we did lots of rehearsals and made sure that we were able to support the kind of scale. It was more than we expected, but we handled it beautifully. And I think that is the fact that Tubi did start as a tech company, and our engineering team is world class. But we also spent a lot of time. We partnered with every single TV OS in a bespoke way to understand their funnel and their flows, when someone turns on their television, what do they experience? I personally, as CEO, sat down and reviewed visuals of when I turn on the television, how many steps does it take? How clear is this? And I can tell you that what we heard from consumers and Americans, it was an overwhelming success. I think over 95% of all social sentiment was positive on Tubi. That does not happen when you're streaming a live event, I can tell you. And it's because that did translate. And so I think, we talk a lot in streaming about the brand and the content and the marketing, but the product, the user experience, and how, like, if your brand is associated with delight and ease and joy, like, it doesn't work if you're in an experience that feels frustrating. So we did a lot of work on that. And then, we partnered with brands, and we did a lot of unique programming in and around the game. We had the first red carpet before the Super Bowl, an exclusive red carpet. It was hosted by Olivia Culpo, and our whole strategy was like, there are a lot of people that aren't football fans. We want to attract the people who are maybe more in it for the commercials and the halftime show. And let's create real programming around the culture and the celebrity and the fashion of the Super Bowl. We premiered one of our biggest originals right after the game. It was the story of a Madison Avenue ad agency that gets taken over by Gen Z. It's starring Lauren Graham from Gilmore Girls, and specifically designed to kind of speak to the fact that you have all these ads and brands who are doing spots during the game. So we really just tried to tap into the zeitgeist around this being not just a sporting event, but America's biggest cultural moment. And then we worked with a bunch of brands to do things I think that were really fun. We also, one of the first that we did was we had a shoppable experience during the red carpet. So we did partner with ShopSense, and you could literally shop the trends that were being shown on the red carpet. So things like that I think just maybe we're trying to push forward the sort of traditional Super Bowl experience and make it more accessible. And I will just say one last thing on it, which is 40% of the people streaming the Super Bowl on Tubi were ages 18 to 34. 20% were female 18 to 34. That is younger and more female than what typically happens. So we feel pretty good that we were able to broaden and expand the pie for all those advertisers who were participating in the game.
It's incredible. So everything you mentioned is just incredible. I spoke earlier today about courageous choices and how those courageous choices and decisions can sometimes lead to change and lead to innovation. I think you guys made an incredibly courageous choice, which was to gate the Super Bowl and require a login before you could watch the Super Bowl on Tubi. And you spoke earlier about this, often the consumers can feel like there's these annoying experiences. So balancing that risk with the opportunity and upside that comes with just understanding the viewers that came in that day, I would love to hear about that, because I believe, and I said this to you too, I believe that was a really brave choice to do that.
Yeah, so one of our values at Tubi is swing big, and we do try and have a culture that encourages courage when it's not obvious. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and it's okay. Hopefully you win more than you lose. It's interesting. I think for me, that decision was not as, it wasn't as controversial. And I think, again, it comes down to understanding your audience. And it sounds so basic. But again, we run probably 100 A/B tests a month on every single parameter you can imagine related to every single thing that a viewer sees on Tubi. So we understand the value exchange. And I can tell you, we were not worried for a minute about the fact that we were gating. We knew that if we offered the game for free in 4K and made the experience easy, and we worked with the platforms, and it was so simple to use, and we knew exactly how many fields and clicks to ask that people will say, okay, that's okay, that's not too much. We knew which platforms, different types of consumers we're gonna engage on, and so for us, it felt like we were pretty comfortable. We were like, we're offering real value to a lot of people. So I think what we found there was like our bet there was
Yeah.
that people will be happy to have that value exchange, and I think what we found was that they were. I think we had something like 17 million email addresses, registered email addresses on the day of the game. And now, of course, we're focused on retaining and engaging that audience with our collection of content.
That's a perfect segue, really, because I agree with everything you said, and while it may have seemed like an obvious choice, I think there's a lot of publishers out there who and it paid off, obviously, but there are a lot of publishers out there who are worried and nervous about creating any amount of friction to getting to the content. But when you have something like the Super Bowl, I still believe it was a really brave choice.
And by the way, it's also worth noting, we believe in our value prop. Like,
totally.
Just to give you all a sense, like Tubi doesn't, other than the game, which is why it was a courageous choice, we don't force register our audience, and yet the majority register. It's a carrot, not a stick.
Yeah.
That's our mantra, carrot, not stick. And the reason they do it is because we personalize the experience. You can continue watching. We help you make your playlists. Like, we've just obsessed for so long about making it easy and valuable that we feel like we understand when we're getting in the way and when we're helping. And at the end of the day, like, if we know who our audience is, of course it's important for our advertising partners, but it also allows us to give our audience a better experience.
Totally.
We can help them surface the things that they want and give them more of that. And ultimately, we live in a culture and environment where people are kind of fine with that. They'll give you their email address if it means that they can have a better entertainment experience.
And there's obvious, or perhaps not obvious, but there are downstream implications to this audience, right? In terms of addressability, in terms of what opportunities that creates for marketers. What was important, or why was that important for you to do that? Because I think it does have application to everybody here in this room.
I mean, for me, it's like, we always think of it as not like our audience and then our advertisers. It's all just part of one great experience. And to me, it's just a win-win. The more we know about you as a viewer, the more we get to show you great content. That means you're going to stay longer and engage more and watch more content and be more addressable to our advertising partners. And then, of course, for our advertising partners, you're able to target and reach the audiences that you want to reach, and only those audiences. And so, I think we've always sort of believed in that. And if you talk to most brands that have worked with Tubi, and just the number of brands has grown so much, and the amount of spend that each brand has spent with us has also grown so much. And usually what we hear most is that the value we're bringing is incremental reach and it's the ability to access audiences that are otherwise hard to find, to do it in a sort of ROI positive, cost-effective way, and that those audiences are engaged. They're not turning on the television and just letting a channel run in the background and off doing other things. This is a lean forward on-demand experience. They are choosing to watch the same way, they do for other sort of paid subscription services. Yep.
So we're kind of in or about to enter into upfront season. I just got my invite to the Tubi. Thank you.
We're also doing a new front. Very excited.
But how are you thinking about that from a buyer perspective? We're entering into this new world. Buyers want to buy in a bunch of different ways. You mentioned Tubi's heritage is as a technology company, and you've got a lot of buyers in this room who want to use a DSP. They want to buy in different ways. How do you approach that part of the market?
So our mantra with viewers is watch what you want to watch, and our mantra with advertisers is buy how you want to buy. And one of the things that's interesting is Tubi did start, again, because of our roots, we started actually entirely partner programmatic driven. 100% of our revenue, right? And it was only in recent years after we were acquired by Fox and we started to reach real scale that we built out, a true sales, higher touch kind of function. And so I think we've actually, I think we were the first to do UID2s. As an identifier with the Trade Desk. We were the very first. And I think in general, we like to be first to market. We like to be a beta partner. We like to experiment with new things, whether it's around identification, targeting, measurement, shoppable, like all of these different areas, I think are ones we're very excited. So we are working on a bunch of announcements that we're excited to share related to those areas. We're also very interested in mobile as a companion platform to CTV. So I think we see really interesting signals about how you can actually reach and acquire new audiences on mobile and then engage them via CTV. And we're doing some interesting things. We have a new Scenes product on Tubi that's basically like a TikTok feed on your phone that is just designed to drive discoverability that I think for a lot of brands, there's some interesting things they can do around that. We're looking at more branded integrations and some very, like, again, different ways to work with Tubi. And, you know, ultimately, like, we've just hit a level of scale that's so large from an ad-supported, like, who you can actually reach audience. Like, we are now in the top 3.
It's incredible.
And so we have ways that we can do different things with brands depending on what they're interested in. So I think it's really going to be about the same. We want the same flexibility and choice and delightful experience we offer our viewers. We want that for our advertising partners.
It's amazing. I can't believe that already says 0. I know, I can't believe it. I could go on for like 20 more minutes. This is so easy. But just to close out and end this event, you get the last word of the whole event. So what's the one thing you're going to focus on, or you can answer this however you want. What can we expect from Tubi? What's something you want this group to know about Tubi that you don't think maybe they knew before? You can end on whatever note you want to end on.
I would just say, I think expect the unexpected. You know, we're gonna stay, you know, in service of our audience, in service of our brands. Like, there's nothing is sacred for us. Like, we are very open to trying things, and I continue to believe that we are in an attention economy. We don't compete with other streamers. We don't compete with social. We don't compete in game. We compete with everybody for attention and time. And I think that the companies and platforms that will matter to you all, they're the ones with reach and relevance for the future. And that's what you're going to see Tubi do. We are going to do everything we can to have massive reach and relevance with the audiences that you need to reach. So hopefully we'll be able to give you more of that in the future too.
Thank you. What a great way to end the day. Thank you so much, Anjali.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone here. Thank you to all the speakers who joined us on stage today. Thank you so much.